All right, everyone. Welcome. This is the City of St. Mary's, Georgia City Council meeting for November 16th, 2020. Welcome, one and all. And we will start off with the invocation from our council member, Linda Williams. Ms. Williams?
Yes. Please join me in prayer. In this time of Thanksgiving, we are grateful, Heavenly Father, for a beautiful city to call home, for a temperate autumn season that has spared us from hurricane damage, and for life in a country where we have the opportunity to vote for our leaders. We ask your help, Heavenly Father, in bringing this coronavirus under control, not just here in Georgia, but in all the other countries around the world as well. We pray for success with the vaccines being developed and for our leaders who are working to devise an efficient distribution system. And we pray that our citizens in this city and county especially will do their part, to stop this coronavirus by wearing their masks, by social distancing, and by washing their hands frequently. Be with our law enforcement officers, our first responders, and our medical professionals who all put themselves in harm's way to save lives. Please be with those in the military around the world, men and women who sacrifice daily to protect our freedoms. And be with all our dedicated city employees who work through viruses, hurricanes, flooding, and whatever else comes along to make our town a beautiful place to live. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Mr. Rassi.
Yes, sir.
Would you do the Pledge of Allegiance for us, please?
I'd be honored. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, could we have the roll call?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
I'm here.
Councilmember Goodman, post 2.
Present.
Councilmember Gant, post 3.
Present.
Councilmember Riley, post 4.
Present.
Councilmember Rassi, post 5.
Present.
Councilmember Williams, post 6.
Present.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, thank you, ma'am. We have a quorum. Now let's move on to the approval of the minutes which you received for November 2nd, 2020 council. It's a regular city council meeting minutes, and if I could have a motion relative to approving the minutes.
Riley. Motion to approve, Riley.
Yes, sir.
Second. Williams.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Any further corrections, additions? All right. Madam Clerk, will you take the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, post 2.
Yay.
Councilmember Gant, post 3.
Yay.
Councilmember Riley, post 4.
Yay.
Councilmember Rassi, post 5.
Yay.
Councilmember Williams, post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, Madam Clerk, please mark that as unanimous. Thank you, Council. Now we move on to our presentations and the board announcement term expiration for the Camden County Joint Development Authority and a board appointment vacancy on the Oak Grove Cemetery Authority. So we would encourage anyone that has an interest in city government or any of our boards, authorities, or committees to please consider any one of these, and our city clerk would be happy to help you fill out the form, and we would welcome you and your application. Thank you. All right. we've got a report of authorities, boards, commissions, and committees. I don't think we have any. Jennifer, anything?
No, sir, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you. All right, council, could we set the consent agenda first? And we have no old business, but we have new business items. A, which is a budget ordinance amendment for SPLOST 7 purchase of city vehicles. What's your pleasure, council?
Consent. I'd like to hear the city manager address this.
Okay. The next item is city employee one-time payment.
Consent.
What's the?
Consent.
I hear consent. All right, thank you. Southern River Walk LLC new alcohol license.
Consent.
Consent.
December 21st, 2020 City Council meeting. I think we should discuss that. Flash Foods LLC doing business as Flash Food Store alcohol license name change request.
Consent.
Consent.
And then item F is a general election runoff January 5th, 2021 advance in-person voting in St. Mary's. I think we will discuss that. Okay. So council, I have a consent agenda that consists of item B, item C, and item E. And if you're in agreement, could I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve. And it's Ed Riley.
All right, I had Mr. Riley, but did I hear a second from
Hardy Jones.
Mr. Jones? Okay. Madam Clerk, any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, could you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, post 2.
Yay.
Councilmember Gant, post 3.
Yay.
Councilmember Riley, post 4.
Yay.
Councilmember Rassi, post 5.
Yay.
Councilmember Williams, post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you mark that as unanimous? And now I need a motion to approve the agenda as set.
Move to approve,
So moved.
Mr.
All right, Ms. Williams, and a second from
Alan Rassi.
Mr. Rassi. Thank you. Madam Clerk, any questions or comments? All right. Madam Clerk, will you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, post 2.
Yay.
Councilmember Gant, post 3.
Yay.
Councilmember Riley, post 4.
Yay.
Councilmember Rassi, post 5.
Yay.
Councilmember Williams, post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you record that as unanimous? And thank you, Council. And now we can move down to granting audience to the public. And Madam Clerk, will you inform us what we have with citizen requests?
Yes, sir. We have 2 citizens that requested. The first one is Mr. Tom Canning.
Okay. Yes, sir. Mr. Canning, if you know, the standard request is your name and address and to respect the 5-minute time limit.
Yes, sir. Tom Canning, 410 Point Peter Place. 2 items, if I may. One, sometime during this meeting, if someone could provide a little background information regarding agenda item B, which you've consent on, just a little better understanding about the one-time payment to, it looks like multiple employees, but I didn't understand it. So, but the primary reason I called in was agenda number or agenda item F, I wanted to bring to your attention two things as you discuss and determine what your schedule and what locations your polling stations will be at, for early voting. One, and I know it was only at 4:30 did I release an email to you all, so some of you may not have seen it, but I wanted to bring to your attention that during the course of this last election cycle, over 800 City of St. Mary's registered voters voted on a Saturday or a Sunday. This is the first time that we've, in recollection anyway, that we've had voting on a Sunday. The numbers that I show you in the email are specifically St. Mary's registered voters. So there was far more than that showed up on a Saturday or Sunday, but I wanted to highlight to you those that voted in the municipal election for municipal candidates. And also, and I'm sure you recognize this, but to bring it out into conversation, the Board of Elections and Registration, their next meeting isn't until Thursday, and of course they'll be discussing the very same item. So I don't know what coordination has already been conducted between the city and the county, but I do believe that Saturday voting is important. Sunday voting, I think it will continue to prove its value, and I'd like to see both of those opportunities during the runoff. And if you feel that you can pay for it, or you think there's value, maybe the City of St. Mary's can help make that happen. Those are the two subjects I have. That's all I have.
All right, and thank you very much, sir. Mr. Horton, I think we can address the request for item B, if you would, when you get a chance to speak about that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so, Madam Clerk, who's next, please?
Mrs. Glazebrook, Ms. Tanya Glazebrook.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome,
thank you,
ma'am.
Deborah. Tanya Glazebrook, 308 Osprey Circle. I would like to speak to Agenda Item F. While the dates and locations of early voting in St. Mary's are an important factor in encouraging the highest voter turnout possible, I'd like to speak to the importance of the ballot box at the Kingsland Annex. While many of the St. Mary's voters will feel comfortable voting either early or on Election Day, January 5, many may not. Given the continuing spike in COVID numbers and more expected in January, some citizens will not be comfortable doing so. This is especially true of our seniors, many of whom are already in the high-risk category for contracting the disease. Assuming the absentee ballots arrive in a timely fashion, those voters could mail in their ballots. Given the challenges to absentee ballots and the questionable return by the Postal Service, many voters are still uncertain. That makes the secure ballot boxes at the approved election board locations critical. Both Woodbine and the Kingsland Annex are considered by the Secretary of State as official election board locations that could maintain secured ballot boxes where voters can submit their completed ballots without risking standing in line with potential non-maskers. When you negotiate your voting locations with the Elections Board, I'd urge you to make sure that you include a requirement that the annex location maintain their ballot box not only for early voting, but for Election Day as well. I'm urging us to consider that we need to ensure the most susceptible to the COVID virus are protected as much as we can protect them. And a ballot box does give them some assurance that they do not have to stand in line and expose themselves. So again, I would encourage you to make sure in your negotiations that that ballot box in Kingsland at the annex is a part of whatever deal you reach. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I neglected to ask if Mr. Blackerby is on.
Yes, I'm on.
All right. My apologies, Mr. Blackerby, because we may have some questions relative to the legalities of what Ms. Glazebrook and Mr. Canning are asking. And I would ask if it's possible that our two citizens can stay on the line in case we need to get a clarification. All right. Thank you very much. So with that being said, I think we're done, Madam Clerk, with the citizen calls.
Yes, sir.
All right, and we have no old business. So the first item of new business is a budget ordinance for 2021 SPLOST 7 purchase of city vehicles. And Mr. Gant, I think you were requesting clarification from City Manager, Mr. Horton.
Yes, I'd like to hear the justification that is for the purchase of these two brand new vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Gant and the Mayor. We have completed the College Road, which we did in agreement with City of Kingsland and other municipalities. That road has been completed, and so has the Coast Guard parking lot. My apologies. Both of them have come in below what we had budgeted for out of SPLOST 7. As most of you know, SPLOST 7 is running out and the money has to be spent. This police chief is currently driving I think it's like an 8-year-old Ford Escape, because his officers needed the patrol vehicle, so he came out of that vehicle. He's in need of a new vehicle. The police department is also in need of a evidence technician vehicle, one that they can put their equipment in to gather evidence on scenes and stuff of that nature. So the thinking is, instead of buying them a new one, is passing off the van that I drive to the police department for that purpose, so we don't have to purchase a new one next year, and purchase myself and Chief Wilkie new vehicles out of SPLOST. That way we're not tapped into it for several years down the road.
Okay. Any questions from council? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Horton. With that said, could I have a motion relative to the budget ordinance on SPLOST 7 for purchase of city vehicles?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Williams. And can I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Mr. Jones. All right. Any more discussion? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, post 2.
Yay.
Post 3.
Yay.
Councilmember Riley, post 4.
Yay.
Councilmember Rassi, post 5.
Yay.
Councilmember Williams, post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you mark that item as unanimous? Thank you very much, Clerk, and Mr. Horton. Appreciate the input. Okay, next item is December 21st, 2020 City Council meeting. And the item is to discuss...
Mr. Mayor, excuse me,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor, there was a question regarding item B, which is, I mean, y'all have already consented it, but there was some clarity requested from Mr. Canning. Do you want me to address that now?
Yeah, why don't we do that in order? That's good. Thank you, Rob. Please, go ahead.
All right, sir. When preparing the 2021 budget, revenues were projected from the conservative viewpoint while keeping in mind the different ramifications of COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on the city's financial status. With this in mind, council was unable to allocate any pay increase for employees in the 2021 budget. Additionally, the city is still waiting for the council approval for salary study to be completed, which you should see a draft of that this week. Since the beginning of the fiscal year, we've observed revenues coming in at a higher level than 2020, which this trend of revenue in mind, we are requesting a lump sum payment up to $750 for all permanent employees. The exact amount for each employee should be based on the hire date and employment status. The physical impact would be approximately $100,000 across the general fund, tourism, wastewater, solid waste, and aquatic center funds. Anybody with under a year of service will be prorated. Everybody else above that would fall into the $750 category. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, council, do you have any questions? Okay. And we'll be able to discuss this at the second granting audience to the public. All right, thank you. All right, so let's move to item D. That is the December 21st, 2020 City Council meeting, and it was to discuss whether to cancel or reschedule the meeting due to the Christmas holiday. And the date for that meeting, just for clarification, Madam Clerk, is what? December 21st?
Yes, sir.
Monday?
December 21st is the actual meeting. It's it's the council's second meeting.
Right. Okay. All right. Are there any comments from council?
Well, in the past, I got some. This is Gant. In the past,
yes,
we have canceled that meeting subject to a special called meeting if anything came up in the meantime in that neighborhood that would warrant a council meeting. So I suggest we do the same thing. That's worked out in the past. We're all on standby anyway, so if something comes up, we can convene a council meeting. But in the meantime, we would cancel the 21st.
Okay.
Mr.
Horton. Yes, I was going to ask you and the clerk, Mr. Horton, are there any particulars going on the 21st?
Go ahead, Ms. Dever.
Oh, sir, the Planning Commission has a meeting on Tuesday, December 15th, I believe. That's the date, Tuesday the 15th. And potentially they could have a couple of zoning items and a text amendment from Kenneth if those items were to stay in line to be placed in the Planning Commission, and if they were approved. It would be 2 zoning per Kenneth and 1 text amendment. They haven't had their meeting yet, so, I mean, we don't know, but I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of that.
Okay. Mr. Horton, how about you?
I think Ms. Devers covered it.
Okay. So Mr. Gantz proposed that we cancel and have special call if it's required. Of course, the usual alternative is to leave the meeting in place and cancel it if there's nothing on the agenda. Is there any preference?
Mr. Mayor, this is Dave. I heard that that meeting is typically canceled, but my recollection is that we've had that second meeting in December normally, and then went on the Christmas break after. We're going to get into issues in January when we have Martin Luther King's birthday on the day of the second meeting, so we're going to be short of meetings. So I think we ought to really consider whether we want to cancel that meeting or not. And I'd be interested to know from the city clerk if we have traditionally canceled it, because my recollection is that we had it.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. That meeting would depend on City Council how close it was to Christmas, and this time it's running during the week of Christmas. Last week it was on, I believe, the 18th of December. And so it's really up to council's pleasure. If we have anything on there, council would cancel it. Otherwise, council would keep it because it doesn't fall on a federal holiday itself. So is it at the pleasure of council?
Well, we could always cancel at a later time, so keep it on the schedule now, I suggest. I think David's right. Keep it on the schedule, and if nothing comes up, even after the mid-December council meeting, that is the mid-December council meeting, isn't it? So, but we can always cancel if nothing is relevant.
All right. If that's agreeable with council, you need a motion, ma'am?
Yes, sir. If you're going to leave it, I don't need a motion. If you want to cancel it, I would need a motion.
I think, unless I hear from anyone else, I think what the decision is that we'll leave the meeting in place and cancel it if there are no substantive items.
Right. So I would need a motion if it's left in place. No, sir.
Say it again. Deborah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Mr. Gant was speaking. I would need a motion to leave it. No, sir.
You would or would not?
I would not. I would not.
Okay. All right. So I think I hear the council preference is to just leave it in place, and we'll deal with it as the time comes. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, council. All right. The last item is the general election runoff for January 5th, 2021, advanced in-person voting in St. Mary's. Mr. Horton, have you had any interaction with the elections board and Ms. Nettles relative to this yet? Can you agree?
Mr. Mayor, Miss Deborah has been in contact with them, and she's going to be the best one to answer your questions and address those issues.
All right. Madam Clerk, you want to just tell us what you know?
Yes, sir. Camden County Board of Elections will have their meeting this week, and since St. Mary's does have a person on the ballot, they are wondering if St. Mary's has a preference to have in-person advanced voting in the city limits of St. Mary's, and if the city would like advanced in-person voting, how many days the city would prefer, and what location, if there's a preference. If there's no preference, then council would just state there's no preference. But if you do have a preference, they would just like to know that so they can take that into account when they do have their meeting this week.
All right. So what is the county doing about advanced voting? Did we have any information yet?
No, sir. The only thing they sent me, that's what their meeting is about this week, when the dates will be, what the hours would be. They're going to have a meeting on that. They just have that that in-person advanced voting would have to begin by December 14th, and then and I believe it's up until New Year's Eve. And they did state that that a Saturday they believe is required, but again, until they have their meeting this week, they have not set hours or days.
All right. Now that Saturday cannot be the Saturday prior to the election. Is that correct?
They did not go into any specifics regarding a required Saturday. She just stated that they do believe that a Saturday would be required, and potentially it could be the Saturday after Christmas, which would be, I believe, the 26th. But again, no specific dates or times were given because they're waiting on their meeting and they're waiting for a vote.
All right. So if council would not mind, let me just state what I think may be an alternative, that we have Saturday voting on the 26th to recognize some of the requests we've had from our citizens who are online. And then the week of, then that would be what, the 28th? Is the 28th a Monday, Madam Clerk?
I'm looking. Let me see, sir. Yes, it is.
Okay. So the
Mr.
week
Mayor?
of the 28th. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think if you look at the item on in your packet, the questions are: does the city prefer advanced in-person voting inside the city limits, and how many days would the city prefer for in-person voting, and which of the 5 voting precincts in the city would the city prefer in advanced in-person voting? I don't know that we can specify the dates because it's going to coincide with state and federal dates as well, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
well, I'm getting there, Mr. Horton.
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to do, bear with me, I'm trying to do an accumulator so that I give a scenario. So
My
the
apologies.
28, no, that's all right. This is what this is all about. The 28th through, Madam Clerk, the 31st, through the first.
The 31st would end on a Thursday, so the 28th would be, if you did you say the 28th through the 31st, sir?
No, ma'am. No, I'm going to propose a scenario of the 28th, or excuse me, the 26th as a Saturday, so we have Saturday voting, and then the entire week of the 28th of December through the 1st of January. So that gives a week of early voting plus a Saturday. And that Saturday, I do believe that the election boards prefers not to have voting on Saturday and Sunday prior to the election because of something that they have to do to reset the equipment. So Saturday the 26th, a full week of in-person voting in St. Mary's at the Welcome Center. And then the citizens would also have the ability to vote in person at whatever the county determines will be the locations. But I think one location in St. Mary's for 6 days prior to the election, then the election, and being held at the Welcome Center is a scenario that I propose. So I'll welcome anyone else that would like to have some alternate thoughts on this. And and again, Mr. Horton, the whole concept is, yes, we want to have in-person voting. Yes, we want to have it in St. Mary's. And I think we should have it at the Welcome Center since we can control the venue.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, this
All
is
right,
Dave. The 31st is New Year's Eve, and then the 1st is going to be the New Year's Day. So I would offer a counter suggestion of the 26th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. I don't think that even New Year's Day would be a good day to have early voting on. I could be wrong, but I think those are holidays. They probably wouldn't agree to them.
That's exactly why we're having the discussion. So, anyone else? Because Dave, we could have, in order to have 6 days of early voting, we could do Thursday and Friday, the 24th, the 25th. And then that would give us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I think your holiday comments probably have a lot of weight.
Mr. Mayor, you're
Yes, ma'am.
now backing into Christmas Day.
We are. So very difficult, isn't it?
25th. I'm a bah humbug person, but not that much. Why don't we try
Mayor Morrissey,
Just as a side note, sir, they have a starting point as December 14th, so you would have, you could back it up the week of the 14th and you could just suggest 5 days, and if you want to suggest a specific week, you would also have the week of the 14th, 15th in there if you wanted to suggest something and avoid New Year's and Christmas.
Well, okay, so what we're saying is maybe we have to break this up into 2 different weeks and have 3 days the week before elections, and then perhaps the first 3 days of Christmas week. I don't know. Whatever council would like this to be.
Mayor, how about 18th, 19th, which is a Friday, Saturday, and then go with the 26th, would be another Saturday, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And that would keep us off all the holidays and get the 6 days that you're after.
Yeah, what did you say, the 18th and what?
18th, 19th, the 26th, 28th, and actually you could skip the 26th, but you go 28, 29, and 30 and get the 6 days in there. So 18, 19, 26, 28, 29, and 30, December.
Okay. So we need some opinions here. Mr. Horton, Mr. Blackerby, are we being, any legalities you see that we might have a problem with?
Mayor, the statute specifies that for early voting, there has to be voting on one Saturday prior to the election, and it's typically the second Saturday before, which in this case would be the 26th. But then the statute says if that Saturday, the second Saturday, follows a public and legal holiday occurring on the Thursday or Friday immediately preceding that second Saturday, then advanced voting shall not be held on such second Saturday, but shall be held on the third Saturday, which that's a huge mouthful. But in other words, it's saying that in this case, the 26th would be the second Saturday. That's when you would, by default, normally have early voting. But it's saying that if you've got a legal holiday, as Christmas, the day before, on that Friday, then it shall not be on the 26th. It should be on the 19th, which is the third Saturday. What I'm not totally clear on from reading the statute, I'd have to look at this a little bit more, is whether this language prohibits you from having it on the 26th as an additional day. You definitely have to have early voting, not necessarily the city, but the county at least would have to have early voting available on the 19th as the third Saturday before. I'm just not totally clear reading the statute whether it precludes you from also doing it on the 26th, since that's the day after Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. Another thought is if we at least have some substance to this, if we did add it a little bit here, 17, 18, and 19, and then 26 through the 30th. So we had 3 days in 1 week, and then we have, starting with Saturday and precluding Sunday, then we have 4 more days after that. So that would be a total of 7 days in 2 separate buckets to provide people with, that would give them 2 Saturdays to be able to vote. And it eliminates the holidays as a problem for voting. Any thoughts on that, Council?
Can you take outside comment?
Pardon me?
Can you take outside comment or not?
Yeah, I think we're at a point that we Mr. Canning and Ms. Glazebrook, because of your input, yes, please.
Well, I've heard legal counsel say that you cannot vote on a Saturday after a legal holiday, so that means that January 2nd is not a possibility. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. Mr. Blackerby?
I missed the last part of that question. That which date is not available?
January 2nd. But it's the day after a holiday.
Right. The statute, see, I think there's some ambiguity in the statute. It says you have to have Saturday voting on one Saturday. It's supposed to be 2 Saturdays prior to the election, unless that falls on a holiday or a day after a holiday, and then it's 3 Saturdays prior, which puts us,
okay.
The Saturday voting should be on the 19th, but What I'm not clear on in the statute is that mean that you're prohibited from adding an additional Saturday that you're not required to have. Could you have it?
Right.
I mean, it's got to be on the 19th for sure. And I'm not clear from the statute whether you can add an extra Saturday, either the 26th or the 2nd. I would want to research that a little bit, and ultimately we'd also want to make sure that the county board of elections is in agreement with however we're interpreting it, since they act as the election superintendent. So we probably want to make sure that they are in agreement with how we read this statute, and I'd want to look a little bit more at the regulations to see if it offers any further insight into that.
Well, I would just suggest that we do, because one of the concerns about going with the 19th and then waiting until the week before the election is that we have the holidays and we have people being distracted. And I'm not only thinking of the voters, I'm thinking of the candidates. This is a very challenging time for them, and they need to be in a position in which they can best present their cases, as well as the voters best presenting theirs. So it would make sense, if we could, to have one date on January 2nd, if that is not inappropriate, before the January 5th, because of all these holidays that are intervening. Thank you.
Mayor, this is Tom.
Mr. Mayor, I would also like to reiterate the request that Mrs. Glazebrook made earlier, that we, as part of our negotiations, we asked the Board of Elections to have the secured ballot boxes in the two locations, so people don't have to wait if they want to drop off their ballot.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this is Tom Canning. May I add my comment?
Yes, sir.
All right. We all recognize, after this short conversation, that this is a very convoluted and complex scheduling challenge. Regardless of what the city of St. Mary's decides, there will be some version of 3 weeks of early voting. We all understand that, and the county's got to make the decision how to make that work. I think that a couple items, and one that wasn't brought up yet, but certainly is a practical consideration, and is not only is this an impact on the voters and an impact on the candidates, but it's certainly a challenge to get poll workers and poll watchers to work these activities on these strange dates as well. So with that said, I think the cleanest approach for the city of St. Mary's, and keep in mind that the city of St. Mary's won't be the only location that polling stations will be opened. I think the city of St. Mary's would be best served with having from the 14th through the 20th, which is a Saturday and Sunday, and then allow the county to struggle with all the other legal and practical and manpower challenges that they have. So the city of St. Mary's could go forward. I realize comments up till now has indicated that you'd like to have early voting later in the cycle rather than earlier, but I think the cleanest thing and the most understandable schedule for citizens of St. Mary's, and also factoring in some of them may be traveling, early voting 14 through the 20th, open it for a Saturday and Sunday, and then let the county deal with the rest of it. That's the end of my comment.
Yeah, thank you. Council, my concern is that many people are used to obviously voting on election day, but also we as a city opened up an election station the week prior to election, and so I'm trying. It is the way it was described. It's a little bit convoluted here as far as what we can do when from the city of St. Mary. So to go back to what Mr. Horton said, let's do, before we get into the number crunching on the days, can we confirm that we would like elections held, early voting held in St. Mary's? I'm not asking for a vote, but that would be one item that would need to be included in the motion. Early voting in St. Mary's. I think I've heard that that's probably acceptable, and we can get a motion to do that. And perhaps, Madam Clerk, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Perhaps we need to break this apart so we can make it easy on ourselves. It's going to be a little involved, but Mr. Blackerby.
Yes,
you there? Okay, what I'm thinking about is we asked for a vote to determine whether or not the city wants early voting in the city of St. Mary. So we put that to rest, and then we can deal with the request for the ballot boxes. And I have I don't know when the county needs our dates, but the county's election board dates really are going to have a big impact on what we're trying to do. And so I'm not sure whether or not we might need to have a special call meeting to deal with the county dates once we know, because we're really dealing with a lack of information here.
Mayor Morrissey?
So yes.
The county was just asking for the number of days, how many days the city would like, and they would take, that would be our city's recommendation.
Yeah, it's based on their schedule and what they're going to offer. So it's very difficult for us to come to a conclusion when we don't know what it is that they're going to do. You know, we could say we want 7 days, we could say we want 10 days, we could say we want 5 days, but we don't. So do we have to give them a date? Or
no,
do
sir.
We
they just wanted to know. Right. When I spoke with her, the actual date that we want was not required. Just the number of days. Whether the city would like 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, how many days, and if the city has a preference for which precinct, which location.
Well, I mean, as you can tell from the conversation, depending on where it falls during the calendars, the number of days in a row are important. And if you need to have X amount of days in each week, then that number flexes. So let me ask council if I can have a motion to support the City of St. Mary's requests early voting in the City of St. Mary's. Is that okay, Mr. Blackerby?
Certainly. Is that I guess as a starting point for the?
Yeah, just as a starting point. I mean, from my standpoint, I think we ought to make voting as accessible as possible for the citizens of St. Mary's. And that's all we're doing by saying we will have early voting, and I would like to recommend that it be done at the Welcome Center. If we could have both of those together.
I don't see an issue with that.
Mr. Mayor, I move that
all right, Ms. Williams? No, Ms. Williams, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City of St. Mary's hold early voting at the Welcome Center and
okay. That's all we need right now. Early voting at the Welcome Center. So that is a motion from Ms. Williams, and I have a second from Mr. Riley. Now, any more discussion on just this fundamental? Okay, Madam Clerk, will you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, Post 2.
Yay.
Councilmember Gant, Post 3.
Yay.
Councilman Riley, Post 4.
Yay.
Councilman Rassi, Post 5.
Yay.
Councilman Williams, Post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, Madam Clerk, that's unanimous, and you can send that part of the message to the county tomorrow that we want early voting in the city of St. Mary's and we want it at our Welcome Center. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, so why don't we have a discussion about the request for ballot boxes at the annex for citizens. If we can have a discussion, or if you all are in alignment, someone can make a motion and we can go from there.
Question, Mr. Mayor. I thought the request from the citizen was to have a secure ballot box at our early voting site as well as the annex.
No, Mrs. Glazebrook, are you still on?
I still am. Dave, I would love that, but the Secretary of State has regulated that ballot boxes can only be placed at the offices or the out branches of the election board. So that means it's only Woodbine or the annex. We have no choice in that. I wish we did, but we don't. So that's why you have to have it. You need to specify that you have it at the Kingsland Annex.
Thank you. Did not realize that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
All
I
right.
move that we request of the county election superintendent that we have a secured ballot box at the Kingsland Annex voting site.
For
Riley,
early voting and for election day.
For
Yes.
early voting and for election day.
All right, good. Thank you. That was Ms. Williams, and I had a second. It sounded like Mr. Riley.
Yes, Riley. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so how about any further discussion about this item? All right, Madam Clerk, will you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, Post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, Post 2.
Yay.
Councilmember Gant, Post 3.
Yay.
Councilman Riley, Post 4.
Yay.
Councilmember Rassi, Post 5.
Yay.
Councilmember Williams, Post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
All right, Madam Clerk, please, if you would inform the county, we have a unanimous vote from our council that we would like a secure ballot box at the Kingsland Annex for early voting and for the day of elections.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So the last item I think that we have is the number of days that the county is requesting. So here's a thought. Since we don't really have a clear anticipation from the county, Madam Clerk, I think the cost for each day is $750.
No, sir, it's approximate. So we're not quite sure what is, but it's approximately around that amount of money. Okay,
so for the city of St. Mary's for early voting, it's approximately $750. Now,
Per day, yes,
if
sir.
if we tell them 10 days and we decide we don't want all those days, can we reduce the number of days afterwards?
Well, sir, if you suggest 10 days, it doesn't mean that the board would give the city 10 days. They just would take the recommendation, all the recommendations from the city, and consider them. So until they vote on it, we wouldn't be able to say if they would give the city. I was just told they would take our recommendations under consideration.
Yeah. Well, Council, I'm looking at the different combinations that came up in the discussions, and between the Saturdays and the compiled weeks. So I realize it's a lot, but when we break it apart based on the holidays, if we were to say 10 days, and those 10 days are not yet defined. They would be defined based on what the county does. Would that be satisfactory?
It seems to me a 10 is a big number.
Well, I was looking at 3 and 4. That's 7 alone, and then from earlier before we got into the holiday constrictions, Mr. Gant. So I mean, we're at 7, and then we were going to add a possible so 8. That would include that was 3 Saturdays. I mean, we could do. Yes, sir. Mr. Goodman?
Are we voting?
No, I thought you said something relative to that. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't mean to.
That was Riley, Mayor. That was me.
Oh.
What I said, 26th, has been determined to be a date that we couldn't have the early voting. And the 2nd is on the weekend before the voting, which you said was also a restricted day. So it only leaves the 19th for a Saturday and the 2 Sundays, 20th and 27th.
Well, I don't know where I don't understand that we said you can't vote on the 26th.
That's what I thought I heard.
I don't believe I heard that.
Mayor, this is Stephen.
What you said?
I've got concerns about because of the way that statute's written. If there is interest in doing it on the 26th, I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying I would like to look at that a little further because there is language in the statute that says if that Saturday is the day after a legal holiday, then you shall not have the early voting on that date. I'm just not clear on whether or not you still have the option, even though that's not the Saturday when you have to do it, if you could add it as an optional day. And I would want to look at that a little further. I don't know how the Board of Elections would come down on that issue because there's some ambiguity there. They may see it one way or the other. And I would probably want to talk to some other local governments to see what they were doing, to see if they've looked at that issue and given it any thought. So I'm not saying you absolutely can't or can do it on that day, but I think there's some uncertainty about it.
Okay. So we're back to number of days.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move that we ask the Board of Elections to organize 7 days of early voting for St. Mary's.
All right. That's a motion for 7 days of early voting. Do I have a second?
Second that motion. I'll second, Mayor.
All right, Mr. Jones. And how about further discussion then? Hello? Anyone else? So, all right, so it's clear we have a motion that we will request the Cameron County for 7 days of early voting for the city of St. Mary's to be determined the date schedules. All right, Madam Clerk, will you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilman Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilman Goodman, post 2.
Yay.
Councilman Gant, post 3.
Yay.
Councilman Riley, post 4.
Okay.
Councilman Rassi, post 5.
Yay.
Councilman Williams, post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey?
All right, Madam Clerk, that's a unanimous vote to request the Camden County Board of Elections et al. For 7 days of early voting in the city of St. Mary's at the Welcome Center with the requested drop box, ballot box at the annex during early voting and as defined by the county and election day. So,
sir,
will you get those 3 sets of instructions to the county, and then as they come back to us, if we have to do the fine tuning of the days themselves in order to meet whatever election requirements are out there, then council, and I think we're all aware that we may have to have a special call meeting to comply with whatever is required. Is that satisfactory, everyone? I think we've met the requirement, Deborah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, you got your marching orders and the initial questions, and we will wait for the county to come back to us.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Horton, are you and Mr. Blackerby, at least initially, are you all right with our direction?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mayor.
All right, good. All right, any further items on this, or any comments on this particular item? Okay, Mr. Horton, we're down to the report of the city manager.
We'll make it short and sweet. Good evening, everyone. As most of you know, our retreat is scheduled for November the 19th and 20th of this week at Honey Creek. We will not be in the same room that we normally are. They have a larger meeting room that is located, if you right directly across from the cafeteria, over on the hotel side. But that's where we'll be, and there'll be signs there helping you get there. The links for those of you that will be participating virtually and for the public, there will be links coming out in the next day or so for that. For those members that will not be attending, or that will be attending virtually, we'll be getting your books to you on Wednesday afternoon. So we'll run those by to everyone so you all have it and you can follow along with us as we go through the process. Those that will be attending, we'll be sending directions to Honey Creek for those of you that have never been there. I think everybody has though, but those will also be available. Police department's working to bring 2 more officers on within the next couple of weeks, which would bring staffing levels to 24. So they're still recruiting and making things happen, and we're real proud of them. The public comment time on the marina project has ended, and we're waiting on our next step from them. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report for this evening.
All right. Any questions, council? Okay, Mr. Horton, yes, sir, go ahead.
I'm confused about the marina. I thought the marina was out for bids.
It is, Mr. Gant, but we're still waiting on the final approval of the permit.
So we can't open until that happens? We can't open the bids until after.
I think we can, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Gant. We had conversations with them, and we went ahead and put it out that way. Then once we get that bid in, we can move in a hurry.
Okay, good.
Okay, Mr. Horton, if I remember correctly, you have a number of bids packages that are due on the 17th. Mr. Horton?
I'm sorry, I mashed the button the wrong way. Yes, sir, we do. We have the camera system, the Orange Hall fire protection system, the building modifications for COVID, the wastewater treatment plant operations, and the Intercoastal Gateway Marina, and all opening between 2 and 2:30 on the 17th.
Okay, great. Thank you. A lot of work going on. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Horton? All right, so I'd like to open up the granting audience to the public, and if Mr. Canning and Ms. Glazebrook are still on, well, Mr. Canning, if you want to go first, please.
This is Tom Canning. I have no other comments or questions. Wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right, Ms. Glazebrook.
She's gone.
Okay, She may be on the mute button. Ms. Glazebrook? Okay. All right. So,
My
Madam
apologies,
Clerk.
I thought I was muted.
Okay. Could we go and go down the calendar for us, please?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow, on November 17th, Public Works has removed a couple of those RFPs. So going down the list, we'll have the 2 o'clock p.m. bid opening for the camera system. They have the 2 o'clock bid opening for the COVID-related facilities improvement. They have the 2 o'clock p.m. deadline for the design and construction of the Orange Hall fire sprinkler system. And it looks like they have moved the wastewater treatment to a different day. And so that has been moved. On Wednesday, November 18th, just came in this afternoon. When we end the meeting, I'll be sending out notice. The Board of Ethics has canceled their meeting at 6 o'clock p.m. in council chambers due to no agenda item. We have on Thursday, the 19th, we will have the retreat for City Council. And we do have that fully scheduled from 8 to 5. However, we'll be starting, I believe, at 9. Is that correct, Robbie?
I think we got breakfast. I think we have breakfast starting at 8 and around 9 kicking off. I'm sorry, I don't have my agenda.
That's okay. I had it from 8 to 5, and that's what I thought it was, actually starting at 9. And then on Friday, I have that down and starting at 8 o'clock as well. And then we have the St. Mary's Municipal Court 9 o'clock trials in Municipal Court here in Council Chambers, followed by the 11 o'clock plea and arraignments for Municipal Court. On Tuesday, November 24th, we have the 3 o'clock p.m. CVB meeting in the Ward Hernandez building. This afternoon, which will go out tonight as well, the Historic Preservation Commission has canceled their meeting on Tuesday, November 24th at 5:30 p.m. due to no agenda items. Also canceled is the Stormwater Enterprise Committee meeting at 6 o'clock in the Main Street office due to no agenda items. And then we have we're coming up on December, so on December 2nd, which is a Wednesday, we have the Development Authority meeting in the Main Street office. On Thursday, December 3rd at 2 o'clock, we have the Tree Board meeting, and that is going to be over in the Planning and Building Department. And on Friday, December 4th at 9 o'clock a.m., we have St. Mary's Municipal Court plan arraignments. And on Monday, added tonight, we'll have the 5:45 p.m. public hearing for Southern Riverwalk, followed by the 6 o'clock p.m. City Council meeting.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. So, Council, starting with Mr. Jones, if you have comments.
Mayor, first I want to thank Deborah and our pharmacists and everybody else that was involved in giving the tourist medications and helping him during his hour of distress when he lost his bag. It reminded me of the way St. Mary's used to be years ago. I also want to congratulate those that won in the election. I haven't had a chance to say anything to anybody. Mayor and Mr. Riley. And my best goes out to those that lost. I've lost a few times in city elections also, and I know the pain. But we always come together and work together to make sure that St. Mary's come first. And I like to let them know that our hearts goes out to all of them, everybody that ran, and those that are in the runoff. I like to wish everybody good luck. I know that everybody can't win, but I like to wish everybody good luck and hope that on the first of the year when we start that we'll come together as a city and not practice any negativeness toward anybody during the new year. We've gone through a lot. COVID-19 is starting to run rampant again. I buried 3 classmates this month. Some of them are COVID related, and I know that it's real. It may not strike you personally, but believe me, it probably will if we keep going in the direction that we're going. So make sure that you wear your mask, practice social distancing. I know Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up, but we have to use a little bit of common sense. I wish everybody a happy holiday for Thanksgiving and pray that everybody have a safe time throughout the holiday. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much. Very well said. Mr. Goodman.
I'd like to echo what Mr. Jones, Councilman Jones, stated about the response to the citizen, a visitor, tourist losing his backpack. It was excellent all the way around, and it certainly does remind me of the St. Mary's that I grew up in. Now, Ms. Walker-Reed, I understand you don't have to respond to this, that when I make the statement for the record, that what I'm going to say will be quoted verbatim and entered into the minutes. And I want to say this. Tonight, 2 citizens were allowed to participate in council deliberations during a regular council meeting. Allowing citizens to actively, quote, sit at the dais during an ongoing council meeting was an egregious breach of established protocol and sets a dangerous precedent. It should not have been allowed for any topic, but certainly not for a politically charged topic such as voting arrangements. I will have a long memory of tonight's highly irregular action, regardless as to how much expertise or how well liked ordinary citizens are. They were not elected to deliberate important City of St. Mary's business. They've not been sworn in. They are not duly authorized. And I oppose what happened tonight. And that's the end of the record. Thank you.
Mr. Gadd.
Well, I have more pleasant words to say. I was honored on Friday, November the 6th, to represent the city for World War II Submarine Memorial, Annual Memorial, which happens every year. Although the attendance was limited due to the virus and the World War II vets continued to decline, the service was as always, moving and impressive. And I was so honored to represent the city, to be there, to show our support for these World War II vets, but also just the Navy in general. They're a wonderful neighbor. Also, talking about wonderful neighbors, you know, each year the Kiwanis distributes turkeys to needy families throughout the county. It's quite a task because.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Gadd.
I'll continue. The Kiwanis distributing turkeys, there's some 50-some turkeys to needy families throughout the county, is quite a logistics task, and it involves the schools. All the kids get together in the different classes and provide canned goods and potatoes and turkeys and whatever, and it all comes together at the warehouse in Kingsland for the Methodist Church, and then it's all distributed individually to different homes, and welcoming everybody to a happy Thanksgiving. But the main thing I wanted to bring up is Councilman Rassi is the mover and shaker for that whole event. It's a wonderful event, and Mr. Rassi, Councilman Rassi, we thank you for what you do there. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, and Mr. Riley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I'd like to thank Mr. Jones for his congratulations, and also concur with both him and Mr. Goodman for the action of the staff with respect to the visitor to Cumberland Island National Seashore. It was truly outstanding and truly representative of the great staff that we have. And also the turkey recognition to the families and the Thanksgiving dinners that went to the needy by the Kiwanis is really noteworthy and greatly appreciated by those families, and Kiwanis earn a lot of thanks for stepping up and doing that during a season that some really don't have enough to eat on their plates on Thanksgiving Day. So that helps them. And closing, I want to just say for a couple minutes here that Mr. Terry Landreth attended a Zoom meeting this morning that included Mr. Stephen Sains, Representative Stephen Sains, Georgia Senator Dr. Watson from up in Savannah area, and DNR Rep Josh Hildebrandt. And a couple of the topics in the meeting were about their support for the East Coast Greenway and also the paths in that. And Dr. Watson's interest in that is both economic and the health and welfare of all the people that use bikes to ride those paths. He's also thinking of the health as well as the economics. And then a real note is Mr. Brayton Bice, who's the East Coast Greenway rep here in South Carolina and Georgia, said that to the panel that St. Mary's and Camden County have showed great resourcefulness, and it's because of their efforts that the Greenway is moving throughout the state of Georgia. So I thought that was a great testimony to all the work that the council has done over the past few years in support of the East Coast Greenway, and I wanted to share that note with you. So thanks, and that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rassi.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to share, I just got a prepared statement. It makes it easier than me rambling on. What an outpouring of love and support from Camden County Schools, Kingsland First United Methodist Church family, naval personnel from Kings Bay, the North Ark preschool staff, St. Mary's Kiwanis Club, and the Friends of Kiwanis. We had every school participate this year, and that was unbelievable. That's the first time ever that we've had all the schools participate in the food drive. There were well over 10,000 canned good items collected, and the top 4 schools were in this order: Woodbine Elementary, Camden County High School, St. Mary's Middle School, and Camden Middle School. We've never had this many volunteers or canned goods on in the same year. Woodbine Elementary School, which is our smallest elementary school, collected over 2,600 canned goods. All local food pantry received well over, and everything was received, and there was an incredible supply of food that were stocked in our pantries in our county to help these families out during the Thanksgiving holidays. I can't thank the thoughts, the prayers, and the supports for this effort. And this is always, for me, a personal thing because I do this in honor of my dad. When I was 12 years old, broke his neck at a family reunion. And there was a local church that came at our house on Thanksgiving morning to donate food to help us and help me be who I am today. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thanksgiving's about giving. And giving not until it feels good, but give until it hurts. And our county and our community has done that time and time again. And we are truly blessed to live in this city and our county. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Williams.
Yes, just a couple of things. First, I'm excited about the bid opening for the sprinkler system for Orange Hall, which happens tomorrow. Can hardly wait. That's a real positive thing. Secondly, I have put in a fair amount of energy sharing the current COVID status on Facebook almost every day. And I wanted to mention a couple of positive things relating to health. The Coastal Health District has ordered 2 of the very expensive and unusually cold deep cold freezers that can hold the earliest vaccine that is predicted, the one coming from Pfizer. And so they are preparing to be able to receive that vaccine, and then they're making plans for how to distribute it. So everybody in the Coastal Health District, which we're part of, should be very, very pleased that our leaders are working on a plan. And the second thing is, this is also flu season, folks. Not only are the virus numbers going up across the United States and expected to go up, but it is flu season, and the combination of the two could be really deadly. So the flu vaccine is free at every county health department in Georgia. So please get your flu vaccine if you haven't already done so. Those notes I feel are important for people to keep up with, because we're all in this together, fighting this coronavirus and the flu potentially. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. So the council and I would like to make sure that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and that you're safe and enjoy the holiday in any way that you can while you're still protecting yourself. So thank you for that. And with that, could I have a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. And a second.
Riley.
Yes, sir. Madam Clerk, will you run the roster?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Jones, post 1.
Yay.
Councilmember Goodman, post 2.
Yay.
Councilmember Gant, post 3.
Yay.
Councilmember Riley, post 4.
Yay.
Councilmember Rassi, post 5.
Yay.
Councilmember Williams, post 6.
Yay.
Mayor Morrissey.
Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. Thank you, everyone. This concludes the City of St. Mary's, Georgia City Council meeting for November 16th, 2020. Have a good Thanksgiving, everyone. Good night.
Night.
Hey.